Hi everyone, my name is Ryan Blomquist. I'm here with Kyle Josephson, and we're going to talk about the brainstorming elicitation technique. So, creating a complicated document like our SRS that we are creating in this class requires a lot of detailed information. This information comes from requirement elicitation efforts. Brainstorming is one of those requirement elicitation efforts. Kyle Josephson and myself are going to teach you about the brainstorming session. So what is brainstorming? There are a couple of really good definitions we gained from our research. One definition from Powell Weichroth states, brainstorming is basically a technique to provoke and encourage creative thinking based on a general idea. Another good definition from Gregor V. Bachman states, brainstorming is to generate as many new ideas as possible. In our requirements elicitation, this brainstorming session should be done in a group session with as many stakeholders as possible. Brainstorming is used to generate new ideas. It will not help solve major issues or design a roadmap to follow. It is a great tool to use if inspiration is needed to better a project. Stakeholders in this case are just about anyone working or using the project that is being created. With our class project, that means anyone who would use a journal app, which is almost everyone on the planet, and the brainstorming meetings should also include developers, domain experts, clients, and users. A brainstorming meeting should be done in two parts. The first part is an idea generation session. There are no bad ideas in this part. No one should be judged for their idea. There should be no criticism or negative content from anyone in the group. The second part of the meeting should be going over the ideas of the first part of the meeting and filtering out ideas that would not be good for the project, and only keeping the best ideas. This part could be done by a vote or consensus. No one should get offended because their ideas did not make the cut. These meetings can be long, so a break should be given about every hour or so. The meeting should be controlled by a mediator or a leader. The leader is to keep the peace and make sure the rules are followed. No negative comments or judging during the first part of the meeting, and no one gets offended in the second part of the meeting. The meeting should also have a scribe. This person should record all the ideas from the first part of the meeting and somehow display the ideas given for everyone to see. The leaders and the scribe should not be the same person. According to Weichroth, the first part of the meeting, or the idea generation meeting, should contain a group of about 5 to 7 people. People are encouraged to give any ideas through free association. The more off-the-wall or crazy ideas that are come up with, the better. This promotes more idea generation. This is quantity over quality. The more ideas, the better, because there's a good chance that someone might come up with a really good idea. It is also encouraging to bounce off ideas off one another to generate more ideas. This is pretty much all there is to conducting a brainstorming meeting. Idea generation is key to moving forward with a project. Now my partner Kyle is going to discuss a couple of these studies about brainstorming that we researched.
We conduct research about brainstorming sessions. We also conducted our own brainstorming session, and we will reveal how that went at the end. The research we did was from a study that 4 doctors did. This study, they wanted to know the difference between, in results between brainstorming and non-brainstorming techniques in a group session. The 4 doctors are Jillian M. Hender, Douglas L. Dean, Thomas L. Rogers, and J. F. Newmaker Jr. In the study, they came up with a creative thinking problem. From other studies given on the subject, people tend to miss about 80% of the solution space for a given problem. People are not even aware that they are doing so. This is because people tend to think narrowly and not think creatively. The test the doctors set up was to have 3 different aspects to the test. The first part is called electronic brainstorming. This is used over verbal brainstorming. A pool of general idea grows as people come up with ideas. The only stimulus is the general pool of ideas. This is done electronically because studies have shown that idea generation is faster and better quality when done electronically. The second test is called assumption reversal, as quoted from the study. In assumption reversal, participants list all the major assumptions about the problem, reverse them, and use the reversed assumptions as stimuli to generate ideas. Because assumptions form an official boundary around the problem, reversing the assumptions is deliberately designed to break existing thought patterns. End of quote. The third test is called analogy. The idea behind analogies is that the ideas are generated from unrelated stimuli that is not related to the problem, but are related back to the problem through forced relationships. Brainstorming and assumption reversal all use related stimuli to generate their ideas. Analogies do not. An example of this type of stimuli goes as follows. Number one, decide the major principles represented by the problem. 2. Use the major principle to generate a list of analogies that are similar in concept. 3. Select any of the analogies that look interesting and describe in each detail. Elaborate on the analogy by listing details such as parts, functions of uses. While completing this step, try to forget the problem. Then number 4, force fit the analogy descriptions back to the original problem in order to suggest ideas for solving problems. Based on the results of the people would then generate ideas based off of these analogies. The idea is that doing it this way is supposed to generate very creative ideas. The test was conducted from a pool of about 150 college students. There were 27 groups made, and they were randomly selected to a certain test. Participants were asked to provide creative ideas for the following problem. A restaurant located next to campus is losing customers. What can the restaurant do to retain its customers? The results of the test were interesting. I quote, analogies produced create but fewer ideas due to the use of unrelated stimuli. Assumption reversals produce the most but less creative ideas, possibly due to fragmentation of the group memory and cognitive inertia caused by lack of forced movement among dialogue. And this research shows that the methods and lists and reverse assumptions as a way of exploring associations and stimulating new frames for the problem can produce ideas, but on average, the ideas are less creative than ideas produced with the traditional electronic brainstorming. End of quote. Electronic brainstorming, of course, Now I will tell you of our own study we conducted. I put a group of 4 adults together and make up stockholders for our project, since anyone on the planet can be a stockholder. I presented them with this stimuli. If you have an app to use as a journal app on your device, what features would you like in that app? I gave them 20 minutes to come up with ideas. In that 20 minutes, 37 ideas were generated. Only 2 of those were duplicate ideas. Some answers were standard, but there were some that were creative ideas too. As you can see, the results are on the screen. Please feel free to use this for our project if you wish. Armed with this knowledge, you can come up with your own brainstorming sessions if you wish. I encourage you to do so. It is a lot of fun to do. Thank you for your time.